Welcome to the latest GTN Elevate webinar. And this one is Nurturing Healthy Global Partnerships. And we'll be hearing a case study, a real life example from Pastor Girma Desalen. Uh, Girma is a pastor in the Seattle area, and he also leads a ministry called Vision Leadership Institute. And he has a huge heart for his home country of Ethiopia, and you'll be hearing about that this morning. And then our own Joel Madson. Joel's one of the board members of GTN and vice president, and he's been with the ministry since almost the very beginning. So these men have known each other, worked together for 14, going on 15 years maybe. And so just delighted. Thank you guys for sharing with us today.
Bet.
So let me begin by just asking you to share, how did your partnership begin? Either one.
Pastor Girma, you want to start?
Okay, no problem. Thank you for inviting me to this program. I have a big heart, as you said. I have a big heart for my home country, Ethiopia, to train people. And I was looking around for people from here to help me to go with me together back home, because task is very huge. I cannot do it by myself. And then I met with a lady from Over Lake called Lynn Alice. I was talking to her about my dream and my plan, and she connected me with Josh McQueen. I think he was a mission pastor, something like that. And he has also adopted Ethiopian daughter, so he has her to Ethiopia too. Then he connected me with Joel and the other guy, another guy, and I have known also Bob, Bob,
Rasmussen,
Bob Rasmussen.
your good friend.
So, yeah, my good friend, and I had so we met all together, and at Josh's office, Joel and I met there and talk. I think it took about 2 years to go to Ethiopia together. So this is
3
how we
years.
met.
Okay, so there was a lot of cups of tea along the
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah.
Joel, share with us your.
Yeah. I had just left the staff of Overlake Christian Church and went with Global Training Network back in 2006. And so I was just beginning, and that's when we connected with Pastor Girma. And one of the things that really intrigued me about Pastor Girma, hearing his story, leaving Ethiopia to come here, really sought refuge here, was going to be a doctor. But then as he started pastoring a church here, ended up becoming a pastor, went to seminary, and then eventually got his doctorate. But his heart for his home country was just compelling for me. He said, I have a responsibility to my people in Ethiopia. And there was something that was a heart connection at that point to say he's a man of vision. He has the passion and the compassion of Christ for his own people. Even though he's living here full time, he was trying to do training by himself, and the need was just huge. So I jumped in with him, started bringing teams with us, and it's been a wonderful partnership for the last almost 14 years.
Great. Now, starting out, you didn't know each other that well, right? There was
Yeah.
someone that introduced you to each other. Trust takes time to build. So, just share with us that early journey of how you figured out who the other was and that they were trustworthy. Love to hear that. That's part of your story.
I'll start, Girma, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
When we first jumped in and heard about Ethiopia, I was thinking this is going to be a 1 or 2 year, maybe even a 1 year, just do some training and just be involved with that. but we started talking more together and sharing over email, in-person meetings, started to hear the vision as it unfolded. And it really took the first year of actually going because, trust is built, but it takes more in-person, face-to-face time to be able to develop that. And so our first trip to Ethiopia, I believe it was 2 different cities, and
Yeah,
just got to watch Girma interact with his wife was with him, Gannett, and one of your daughters, Johanna, and just watching them interact as a family. He was a family man, but then as his pastor leadership hat, watching him deal with his own people and put together the trainings, it was pretty quickly that I started developing this level of trust in him, thinking this guy is somebody that's worthy of trust and is I can trust him in what he's doing. And the program that he put together was just really over the top good. And so it just started to build from there, spending time in country, watching his vision kind of be fleshed out, not only talked about, but just see what was happening in country in Ethiopia. It was just really spectacular for me.
Mm. And how about you, Pastor Girma?
yeah, uh, yeah. Trust takes more time, but I thought I was thinking for long run, but I don't know how long the GTN people, Joel, will stay. I don't know. I was not sure. But the
Mm.
first year, I trust they will come back. And but on 2013, we started on 2011. 2013 was a year that I was frustrated because I didn't go to Ethiopia. That was the first graduation. Because of church problem, I couldn't go. Then
Mm.
Joel and others went there. Financially, it was messed up there. So Joel called me and huge messed up. So I was frustrated back then. So what this guy is going back after this? That was
Mm.
my frustration. So then we go back together. So I get relief.
Mm.
And then I don't know when we went to Bokoji, the first or the second time, went to Bokoji, and we came back to Asala, another town. It's about
Yeah.
35 or 40 miles from the training where we stayed. Then 5 days, there is no water.
Mhm.
So they couldn't have any shower.
Mm.
I say,
No shower.
I know, I trusted, I developed trust, but it's a mess. So
Mm.
in the town, there is no water. They have with bucket, water with bucket, 5 days,
Yeah.
no shower. So I said, as this thing works next time,
Mm.
as these people coming back, they came back. So I just
Okay.
get relief. After that, I get more trust with these people. Plus, my spirit knows these
Uh,
guys are the one whom I trust more.
so Joel didn't complain too much about not having
No,
showers.
not really.
I don't have a
Not
problem
really.
washing my hair, so that's okay.
But that's great. So a couple times you were wondering, will they come back? Are they willing to work through the messiness and the
Yeah,
difficulties?
they did. No
And
complaint. No complaint at all.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Great. Um, what were some bumps in the road in your relationship with each other? Relationships just don't go smooth, 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 smooth. There's ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Share with us just some of how you navigated some of the challenges, difficulties you faced.
Well, he referred to the one year that he didn't go on the training. We had a graduation. I remember getting a call as we were planning. I think it was our third year into going to Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And he called me and said, I've got some church problems here in Seattle and I can't go. And so immediately I'm thinking, I'm not going if he's not going, and I'm thinking, where's this at? And really had to take a step of faith. Girma said, I have it covered. We have somebody to take my place there. And so it was a step of faith, trusting, but it was a bump in the road, thinking if this is going to be a pattern of some kind where he can't go, I'm
Hmm.
not sure I'm willing to jump in and have the ability to be able to navigate it from there. But it actually turned out to be a strength building thing for us in our relationship, to see that even though he wasn't there, I was able to trust him to have everything taken care of. And it worked out as a great team opportunity. And that was early on, that laid a foundation that trust was there. It was a difficulty, but we worked through it and didn't give
Hmm.
up.
Good. Pastor Girma, any examples come to mind of bumps in the relationship, challenges that you had to navigate?
Uh, it's not actually it's not between us, but with team members, some team members, especially we
Mhm.
had one guy who was a
Mhm.
little faster than the rest of the team members, and I see sometimes he go just by himself separately,
Hmm.
and uh, one and sometimes we have food together. I have all the money, get the money, and pay for everything. And maybe Joel didn't notice this, but I was puzzling. And he eats or he orders something. Oh, that's too much. I'm gonna pay for it. Something he said. I don't
Uh,
like that.
hmm.
And
Hmm.
one time we're in another city, and he was somewhere. We had a uh, hotel room for everybody. That hotel was very nice. It's in Shashamane, if you remember, you guys. It's
Mhm.
a very nice hotel. It used to be,
Hmm.
but it's transferred to another owner, and it became bad. The bed was
Mhm.
bad. So the team leader called me. His uh, he called me and he said, the bed is bad, so we're gonna change it. He said, okay, you paid already for today, okay, and change it tomorrow. This guy, after he taught there his class during the break, he went outside by himself.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then he see another hotel and go in there
Uh,
and
uh,
rent a room and take all his stuff by himself
hmm.
and go in there. So he could be,
So he was a bit of a
hijacked
lone
by somebody.
ranger doing his own
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
not really part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, my problem is with my own people,
Hmm.
not with the team, with my own people. So they think because we are going from America and we have a lot of money.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So uh, they ask, uh, why don't you get this? Why don't you get that? And one part is that. The other thing is they think I get money from you guys, and
Hmm.
then I give a little bit of that to them, but I keep the rest to myself.
Hmm.
That trust issue is within my own people, not from
That's
you guys.
interesting. They were making
Yeah.
assumptions that
Yes.
because you didn't receive um,
Mhm.
any
Mhm.
stipend or salary or anything from GTN. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. There was kind of trust on your team side, and they had questions about you. How did you end up navigating that?
Uh, I figured out that, but finally, uh, for instance, Joel, if you remember Asapa, he was
Yes.
been with the Lord now. He had big issue. He had big suspicion. After the first graduation, I don't know, maybe the Lord told him, I don't know how. He said, Pastor Girma, from now on, I trust you, and
Hmm.
I'll
Hmm.
do whatever you told me to do.
Mhm.
And little by little, phase by phase, they become trusting me. And
Hmm.
when you start new places, especially, they have suspicion.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's
Joel,
interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting
go ahead.
with as he's referring to that we had to deal with team member issues, Lone Ranger type mentality. And so nothing builds a relationship deeper than when you have to deal with a problem.
Hmm.
So when you deal with a problem and work through the problem, that builds trust and teamwork. And I found that with Girma as we early on dealt with, he couldn't come one time, a Lone Ranger team member, kind of rogue, even excuse me, a rogue master trainer. You remember Yared.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
he wanted to do his own thing, but when you work together to solve a problem, it deepens trust, and it deepened our trust together as we navigated those issues.
Hmm. Wow.
And the other thing I can add is, you know, when the team goes from here, people like to connect, and most people are very poor because they love the connection. One way, pure heart, and another way also they want some money from the
Hmm.
team members. So they write team members letter separately without knowing me, but we share each other. That
Yeah,
build more trust.
yeah.
How did you navigate that? Pastors, leaders connecting with part of the team and asking for money or for other things. How did you navigate that challenge?
Some of them, we told them. I had one guy who had ministry back home. I told him to begin with, don't ask any money to our team member for your
Hmm.
ministry. You came here to help us. If you did that, we'll be out. So he did that, and we chased him out. Now I might give him mercy because I think he learned from his mistake.
Hmm. Hmm. Joel, did you have a role to play in this
Yeah.
challenge?
Yeah, well, so we would always talk. When I would
Mhm.
hear of things, or if our team members were asked for money, then Girma and I would sit down and talk. It's the problem-solving thing to be able to work through that. So we very much spent time when issues came up. We would talk together. He's very open with me of saying, this is what my people are doing, and this is what's saying. He would share the couple situations with Yared and with Asafa. You would share with me what was happening, and then we would work together with that, and it really drew us closer together in dealing with that, so we could talk together. I'd understand their culture, and what he wants to accomplish. And I think a huge thing for me for GTN is that we really follow the vision of what God's doing in country. So it's
Hmm.
not just transplanting our vision to say, hey, do it this way, hearing what God's already doing in the country and then partnering together, but lots of communication during the trip, and then when we would come home. And that has not only built trust for me with Girma, but elevated my respect for him. And to say, this is a guy that I want to partner with. He's part of my family now in working together for the kingdom.
Joel, I remember you telling me that when you would work through issues with Pastor Girma, uh, ultimately you end up deferring to him because you trust him.
Yeah.
You'll talk through issues, but then ultimately the decision is left with Pastor Girma.
Yeah. So a value for me with GTN is uh, the already going vision in a country. I will defer to that. I want what fits in their culture with what his vision was for Vision Leadership Institute. I'll give my input. There were times that when we added different courses, you added a course that I questioned, like, and are we sure? Do we really need that course? Would there be something better? But in the end, I would defer to him because he owned it. It's theirs, and it's what they're doing in the country. And so that's more important to me than getting my way or saying, I think it needs to go this way. But we have good dialogue working through it. So we both hear each other and then share what we're thinking. And it's all about communication, being able to
Mhm.
communicate, and that deepens
Mhm.
that relationship.
Good. I've got a follow-on question to that. And after the follow-on question, to those of you on the webinar, I'm going to pause and see if you have any questions that you want to throw at either of these guys. So here's my follow-on. thinking more broadly about money. Money and missions can get so messy, right? Tell us about how the role of money in your relationship at the beginning. Did it change? Yeah, talk to us about that. We all want sustainability, right? And
Mm.
yeah.
I think that one of the impressive things about our partnership and the work there in Ethiopia is when we first started in 2011, it was funded by the West. It was funded by Overlake Christian Church with me with GTN, and we would fund the trainings and provide the money for Girma to accomplish the Vision Leadership Institute goals and directives. But as time went on, Girma started working with his Ethiopian people, not only here but in America, and they started raising their own money. And so, when at first we would pay for all of our personal costs and the conference, but now today, the last number of years, they've raised all the funds for the conferences. So we pay zero conference costs. All we pay for as GTN staff and the people we bring is only our airfare there and our lodging in country. And I saw the effort on Pastor Girma to bring about a sustainable model to be able to work together financially. And one of the benefits of that right after COVID, we didn't go for 2 years, and they continued on the training without us.
Hmm.
We have not been there. We're going back in May. We haven't been there in 2.5 years, but they carried on the training, and there's been zero investment financially on our part. And that's a beautiful partnership to be able to work together, them raising the funds and buying into that. But that at one point I thought we don't need to go anymore. But Pastor Girma says, no, we want you to come. You kind of give us a kick in the arm when we get started. And yet they're taking the bulk of all the financial responsibilities. Truly a unique situation that I've experienced.
Hmm. Yeah, Pastor Girma, it would have been easier for you to just keep tapping into GTN and
Yes.
tell us about your thought process and why you were committed to being self-sustaining, if you will.
I trust God. When I start this thing, I didn't have any penny. So
Hmm.
God brought this vision into my heart, and I said, God, if it is from you, just prepare all the provision for this ministry. For 3 years, Overlake, Overlake Church, for 3 years, I didn't ask Josh, anybody. They called and said, we're gonna cover this year cost. I thought this is good. Then Cascade and the GTN guys, they just came. Then after that, I start thinking, so my people see the fruit, and why don't you
Hmm.
ask my people? So I asked them, everybody says, this is right ministry, we have to help. So, anytime regarding money, I said, God, it's yours. It's not about
Hmm.
me. If there is no provision, maybe that's a sign to stop it. So really, I don't worry about the money, but I like to be good steward, and I tell the people there, we don't have money. So if you embrace the vision, come and join us.
Hmm.
Most of the time we pay for the instructors and for transportation for the instructors. So we don't let them to leave their own job. We just pay stipend and transportation and training materials. We don't have a building in many places. We have just
Hmm.
office. So we try to minimize our cost. So to reach out
Great.
many
Let me add
places.
one thing on there. One of the things that we started off doing was having a full day of training, and you all GTN members know that sometimes paying for a lunch or a dinner and breakfast, I mean, it just ups
Yeah.
the cost. After I think the first year, they made the decision, Joel, we don't want to do an all-day training from 8 to 5. He said, we're going to start at 8, but we're going to finish at 1, so we don't provide lunch for anybody. But that was being a stewarding decision that they made to cut the cost. And elevated trust for me even more to say,
Hmm.
he's really thinking through, not just saying, give us the money, this is the budget, but he's actually thinking through, how can we minimize cost? And we've been doing that ever since with the finances.
Beautiful.
I have a question. Does that
Good.
extend the number of days that you had to do the training because you weren't training in the afternoon?
We continued. So we went from 8 till 1. When you add in the hour-and-a-half lunch break in the middle, it's only cutting it an hour or so short with the break.
Yeah.
So you're just doing more
Mm.
in a shorter period of time. Still do
Yeah.
5 days, but
5
do
days,
from
okay.
8 to 1. So
Mhm.
Other questions?
Yeah, you
Larry.
guys mentioned several things on the front end that we're just kind of building the team, getting the teamwork, I guess, to where, they really could function as a team. I'm always interested in that, but what do you think that total time was kind of that you guys had to invest on the front end to really have a level of teamwork that you were satisfied with?
are you referring to between the two of us or the teams that we bring?
Both, just kind of so everyone's really functioning well together and not the lone rangers kind of doing their own thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think Joel brought good team people. We don't get any hassle except I think one person. We don't get any hassle from team members. They are very nice people. Plus, as Joel said, it's not like imposing American culture or American tradition. This must be done by this. So it's customized, and we talk a lot. So we talk over lunch when we eat. We meet together. It's not like disciplined or orderly manner, but as a friend, we talk when we eat, when you sit down by our rooms. So that makes big difference for us. So
So these things that you mentioned specifically were like, getting communication going so that people were talking to each other, things like building trust. So my question is kind of what was the length of that period to get those things developed so that you had a good functioning team?
I would say between
A year, was it 2 years?
between 2 and 3 years really got it into a place of smoothly moving forward. And then it has become so much easier, but it just takes time to be able to build those relationships, trust and respect. And so I would say that not that we ever lacked that, but it was just increased over probably a 2 to 3 year period of time. The pinnacle piece when Girma couldn't go with us on a trip, and we had another Ethiopian man in Ethiopia that he had assigned to lead it from there. And that was proof in the pudding, if you will, that it's really working, that we were able to Girma out of the picture, we were able to continue on. But I'd say 2 years, between 2 and 3 years for that to really be in a smooth, ongoing relationship.
Great, thanks. The other thing
And
was just really related to the issue of money, and we led teams to Guatemala for many years doing medical mission work in combination with conferences for pastors and leaders. And at the beginning of that, I mean, everybody thought, here come the rich Americans. We had classes of 40, 50 people, and now 40 or 50 good people with good ministries are all trying to pitch their thing to our teaching team and our medical mission team. And it's a huge distraction because our members didn't know, oh, this all sounds good, but what do I do? Because I've got 40 people asking for donation to their ministry. So the solution was to take the local ministry, the ones that are there and in country, and say that's where we do give, and we're going to give to that organization and let them make the decisions about any disbursements to anywhere else. And that took the pressure off. That just took the distraction away for our people, and I think for everyone. And they were worthy. You couldn't blame them. They had this perception that Americans have a lot of money, and you couldn't blame them. But if you let that continue, the problem just multiplies. There's that many more things being pitched, and people coming to the conferences just so they have an opportunity to put their hand out to the Americans coming in. So that was our solution.
Amen.
Greg Ishmael, another GTN staff member, his solution to that is, I was with Greg in Bangladesh last year. His solution is at the very beginning of the week, he announces to everyone in the room, you do not have permission to ask any of the team members here for money or computers or anything. You do, and if you do, we will politely ask you to no longer be part of this training. Well, there's another way of of handling that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Greg in Kenya, and he did the same kind of announcement in the beginning, and he made it very, very clear it wasn't passive whatsoever. If you start asking for money, you will be out of our program, period. And the people knew, and they understood it as it is a fact, and that's what will happen. So I thought it was very good.
I knew Greg in Anacortes. His church was about 2 blocks from mine, and I really believe that. Greg does that.
You know, another way, what we've done in Burundi is we had the same thing where we would have people coming and asking, hey, could you help us put a roof on? Or, you know, they had incredibly really good things and from good leaders. But what we recognized was it felt kind of funny because we're like, boy, we're just pushing to the max to be able to, you know, come here and afford to pay for the conferences and everything. So it ended up even having kind of an emotional, weighty thing on us, or like, gosh, I just feel I don't want to hear this over and over kind of thing. One of the things we did was we just at the beginning said, we just want you to know we are fully committed to you and that no one pays us. We raise all of our funds. There's hundreds and hundreds of people who believe in you. And as a result, we want you to know we're all in. We have everything that we can donated in. As a result, we're not capable of doing other projects. And we just felt like it was a way that we could say, you know, we really do believe in you. And even though, you know, we live in a different standard and everything, we're committed fully financially to this. And since we've done that, we haven't had anybody ask. And I think that they appreciate it even more. We don't work for a big company that pays us a salary.
Right.
There are hundreds. So now we've even have them praying for our partners, saying, man, praise God for all these people who are making this happen, that this is a significant thing for them financially. And so that's been a great thing for us. And it came off as non-offensive, I think, to them also.
Great. Thanks, Chuck. Good questions. How has your partnership changed over the years? Almost 14 years. It looks different today than it did there. One is money, and provision of money, but how else has your partnership matured, changed? What would you say?
I can say that through the years, it's getting not just a partner, it's like a family, brotherhood. So we are more than partnership now. We are like a family. I can call Joel to ask anything. I feel I don't have any fear. I don't have any doubt. So it's one of my families, and Kati, I just love them. And even GTN guys, if they say GTN member or somebody, I feel connection, strong connection. So I feel I pass that partnership style. Yes, we are partners, but it's family.
That's beautiful.
I would agree with that in that I think soon after we came back after 4 years or so from a trip, Girma and Gannett would invite us to their home for a meal. And so nothing speeds forward relationship than being with the family in their home. And if you've ever eaten Ethiopian food, it's very family style, injera and all the beautiful spices and all the food. And so they cook a dinner here in Seattle. I invite anybody that's in the area to come. He does, to come and have a meal together. But that that has just I would agree it's family. Kathy's gone to, my wife has gone with us to Ethiopia. And so she, so it's just them as a couple, us as a couple, and even our team members. We've probably brought 30 different people from Seattle and GTN staff with us over those 14 years. And so we're all considered family. And I send out an invite to all of them to come. Hey, come join us for a meal if you're free in Philadelphia to come join us. That'd be great. So
Beautiful.
That's a great perception. Family.
yeah.
Nice, nice.
What I
Good.
observe in terms of the cultivation of relationships and trust is it involves time and frequency. Because with my connection with a lot of the guys in Myanmar, before COVID, I was going twice a year, depending on how you start the year. It was January, October, but it really more felt like October, January, October, because of the academic year. And then I wouldn't see them between January and October. I was going to other countries. There wasn't a lot of communication. And then COVID hit. We started a small group every other week with this group of pastors, most of them in Mandalay, one guy up in Michina, for every other week. We just pray together. And then we did a couple of trainings online, which are, which I've always said are better than nothing, but not that great, But the relationship developed over those years. And then this last year, I went to Myanmar twice. And when I saw those guys from Mandalay, it was like seeing my brothers, like you said, family. Now I'm traveling more. Rwanda, Myanmar, Nepal. I don't have as much frequency with those guys in Mandalay, though I saw them in September and in February and then September, February, just before our gathering. I don't have as much frequency. And I'm almost noticing a little bit of a loss in a sense. So, I mean, I see the frequency as a big factor of that. And but also trust, because at the beginning, one of the guys, his name's Solomon. I always give him a hard time for being very wise. He said, "You're my wise guy." He has a Nazarene background. My background isn't that. So there's almost an element of theological distrust a little bit. Well, now we can harass each other like, I can't lose my salvation, but you can, and we have such this great relationship, jovial. And the last night we were in Myanmar, they were all gathered in this one hotel room in Yangon, just praying together. And I went up there and I just had this fantastic time with them, and but I'm trying to figure out, as I have some more, like Joel, you go to Cambodia, you go to Ethiopia, how to balance, how to maintain an appropriate level of frequency to maintain the trust and everything, Anyway, those are some random thoughts. Yeah.
Thanks, Richard.
I think frequency can also be not only going in person, but phone calls, text messages.
Yeah.
They're a relational person. So when somebody comes to mind, I'll shoot them a text, an email, and that also aids the frequency piece. And just building, it's a friend. It's building the relation.
Joel and Girma, give us a sense of where's the ministry at now in terms of fruitfulness, in terms of growth. Would love to, get a little summary of what's happened over these last 14 years.
Yeah, the ministry grows. It could grow more, I think, as our brother said, Richard said, if we do get frequency, but we cannot make it because I have responsibility here. Joel and the other guys have responsibility, because if you go back and forth like 2-3 times, it will be more explode. but I think it grows. It still has a call from different parts of the country, and the ministry is very strategic. So we go north, south, and so far north and south. So we have to go to east and west. It's on our table to go there. So
Pastor
far we
Girma,
have like,
tell us about your master trainers, which are central
oh, okay.
to your strategy.
Yeah. We have master trainers between 17 and 20 people in every city, so different cities. So they are well trained. Most of them have their masters, and most of them are pastors. So when you embrace them to our ministry, we tell them this is not for financial thing. This is if you embrace the vision, join us. So most of them are very happy because we don't charge the students; it's free. And right now, we have prison ministries too. Right now, we have not only outside, not only in the cities, but in prisons. Right now, currently we have 3 prison ministries. In these 2.5 years, we didn't go to Ethiopia, but we have 3 prison ministries started
So
already.
most of the ministry is not being done by GTN staff at this point. They
No,
actually only do a very small portion of the ministry. It's your 17 to 20 master trainers that are spread around the country. They are doing most of the training. And
yeah,
how many pastors and leaders have received the training so far?
about 2,300.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
And those
How many again?
2,300 have graduated. And
2,300.
2-year
2,300.
Graduated. 2 years program, they graduated.
Hmm. Hmm. Isn't that beautiful?
Can I
Wow.
share
It's
just a bit about the
equivalent
program?
of AA.
What they do is it's a 2-year. We only go once a year, and the first year that we did the training in 2013, we challenged the U.S. team that came. We challenged them to meet once a month for the next year before we come back for the next 4 courses. When we came back the second year, I sat down with the administrator, Pastor Tasso, and he pulls out this ledger, the old school teacher with the boxes with dates, and he had taken it to a whole nother level of checking attendance. They met every week, they had assignments, and then after the 2 years, they actually write a paper, like a dissertation type paper that they have, it's 25, 40, 50 pages long, that they instituted to be able to do that. So the program was pretty cool to watch them do it. I told them after the first year when I saw the program they had, I said, Girma, you don't need us. You've got it covered. You got capable people. We helped you for a season. Maybe we don't need to continue on. And he told me, he says, Joel, we need you. We need GTN to come, and you guys are the catalytic punch to get started for the year of training when they meet every week after. So it's been a beautiful partnership in that, and being part of these graduations over the years has been seeing the fruit that's come from it. It's just been really great to watch.
Could
Beautiful.
you outline for us briefly kind of what the steps were for preparing those national trainers to hand that off to them so that they're carrying the ball on the teaching now?
Mhm.
We have GTN materials for the trainers, and also we provide the students the training materials when you start the training.
So we really didn't train the master trainers. We were the catalytic piece where it drew together that Girma went and got those people with the masters or their doctorates or whatever to be part of what's going on. But it created a platform for West going. We had the courses that we provided, and then they would just teach from there. So really, we had really very little to do with training of the master trainers. They had already chosen, but we created a platform with us coming once a year for them to jump in to do that. So Girma recruited those, capable men, educated guys that were already in country that were able to do that. And they did come to some of our trainings, but for the most part, they were already theologically trained from different areas in Ethiopia. Correct me if I'm wrong, Girma, if I've missed.
You're right. You're right. Yes, that's right.
As you look into the future, what changes do you see happening in the partnership, responsibilities? What do the next 5 years or so look like?
Yeah. I think I might add, I wish to add something like mentoring and coaching the graduates, especially the graduates, alumni. We need to have more time with them. And also, I like to have like some short-term training for the community inside wherever we go in the city, for businessmen, for even community leaders. I think we need to have that influence in the community.
That's right.
That
When
would
you
be-
when you start working in a new region or city, you form a steering committee from
Yes,
that city or that region, and
yeah,
that's what you're referring to.
yeah,
I think evidence to the future next 5 years, Girma talked about while we haven't been there, they started going into the prisons to do training in prisons. That was totally apart from anything that we even had. We didn't even mention those things, but that came from, they came up with that vision and it's just increased. And I think this coming May, we're going in different directions, a little further out. Girma continues to get requests from all over the country to do the training. It's become a respected program. Even they've worked towards with the government to be able to get recognized by the government. That's been a challenge, but it just the recognition and people knowing about it, and they want to be part of it. And that's the greatest thing when somebody says, I want to join, I want to be part of this. We had pastors that would come to us. They had associate staff that would come to the training. When they'd hear about it, the pastor recognized, I need to do this training. So he would come back and say, I want to be part of that. But a lot of great stories like that.
Great. Any other questions for these guys before we begin to wrap up?
I have a question. How do you just starting out, how do you develop kind of good feedback cross-culturally? I'm just thinking, I think as a Westerner going in, sometimes it's hard to know if you're getting good feedback or whether there's honesty of how a trainer is doing or how effective something is that you might be doing or ineffective, and not wanting to offend. And so just kind of, I don't know if that makes sense, but how do you kind of develop that trust to give good feedback?
That's a great question.
For me, it was just spending the time with Girma. We've also done little survey things of asking the students where they're at. And it's just continuing to ask questions and really in a humble way, coming to Pastor Girma from our side of just saying, we're all in this for the kingdom of God. It's not for us, it's for his glory and God's kingdom. And so just say, be honest with us, just share with us. Sometimes in cultures, Cambodia was hard to get some honest stuff because they're a shame-based culture and they just don't want to make anybody look bad. But you just develop that with a posture of humility, being able to come in and then speaking less and listening more was the key. We tend to fill the airwaves with what we think and what we say, but to be able to sit back and listen. And sometimes when there's no words, sometimes we want to say something, but just listen and give time for response. And I found that to be very key to get a real hearing from people.
Joel and
Pastor-
Girma mentioned what you men do in the States. You're somewhat in proximity to one another. what have you done in the States?
Girma, why don't you share what you do here with your Ethiopian church in U.S.?
What do you mean, Carl? When the men get together?
No,
I don't get it.
you have been talking about your relationship and your ministry in Ethiopia,
Uh-huh.
but you also continue your friendship and partnership in the States.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what has Joel done and what have you done with Joel in this United States?
Oh, okay, okay. That's good. As Joel mentioned, we have a, annual gathering at my home, and sometimes Joel come to our church. We have a VLI 2 in my church. We have the teaching. So
The training.
sometimes Joel comes and teach or on Zoom, and sometimes we get together. And even I went to their church to teach.
Mhm.
So
At Joel's
not
church.
often, but yeah, yeah, not often, but we get together sometimes, and we call each other. Any question? Yeah. Otherwise,
Girma's
we're busy.
Girma's doing the
Yeah.
same thing here with his church. It's an Amharic speaking church here in the Seattle, the largest in the Pacific Northwest. And he does the same training with leaders here in the US. And that was the integrity piece and the character of who he is. He's doing here what he's doing there. He's doing there what he's doing here. And so he invites some of those of us that have trained to be able to come and work with his staff. And it's been a pleasure to meet in person, get to know the people of his church that are being trained up as leaders. And he's just doing it the same here and there. And that's been pretty
Yeah.
remarkable. We take part in, they just had a celebration with the VLI, Vision Leadership Institute. He invites us to come and speak there or just give a word of testimony, and we just get to participate. We don't have to be a big deal. We don't need the recognition. It's just being with them with that and celebrating with the graduates that you have from the United States as well.
Final question for you two men. If you had to give one or two pieces of advice to GTN staff on nurturing healthy global partnerships, what would that be?
Mhm. For me, is move from an agenda-driven posture to the relationship posture and just spend time together, hear their vision, ask questions about what God is already doing wherever we go. That's been rich for me. I love what Blackaby always said, find out where God's working and join in. And so it's very much that listening and hearing the vision that God's already put on whatever country we go to. We do the same thing in Cambodia and other places. What is their vision, and be able to listen. So I'd say listen, move it to the relationship rather than task driven. This is another trip for a GTN member. This is another teaching opportunity, but move it towards more relational.
How about you, Pastor Girma? Words of
Yes,
wisdom.
yeah. In addition, what to George said, I may add, it takes time. There is no quick fix. It takes time, to see fruit. So you need to be patient, to listen, and willing to learn, especially as you go to another culture. There are so many different stuff. For Ethiopians, if you go to Ethiopians, men shake hands together and they go together like a brother. Here is not. So uh, willing to ask and willing to learn is the best thing, I guess.
Beautiful,
I
beautiful.
would add one thing too. Don't underestimate the vision that God has given our international partners. I think sometimes coming from the West, we have lots to offer, but don't underestimate what God's already doing in country and what their vision is, and see if there's a blending together of what God's doing there and how do we help. I use the phrase a lot wherever I go. I want to fan into flame that which God is already doing. And become a cheerleader and a listener, and then how do we help and come alongside? And that's been really a pinnacle piece for Girma and my relationship over the years.
I think that's hugely important. It's a question of not that we're going in and we're taking something, giving something, but we're going in to join what God is already doing with those people.
Amen.
Hugely important.
Hey, what are some takeaways for the six of you that were part of this webinar? As you think back the last hour, any one or two takeaways that you might be able to implement in your relationships with global partners?
Big one for me. I'm just starting, so I just got an email from our partner in Bangladesh this morning, and it was great. But when you're just starting out, there's kind of like I want to do stuff. So just that emphasis on relationships and slowing down and being patient, and just what you guys were sharing. I was writing down just some notes of like that was encouraging and kind of what I needed to hear right at this moment, actually. So yeah, so I
Beautiful.
appreciate you guys sharing.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I went to Ethiopia with Joel and Girma, and my first time with them, Bob Rasmussen was on the trip, and he just
Yeah.
casually said something similar to what Joel had just said. Look for someone in country and help them fulfill their vision.
Hmm.
And that's been very powerful for me. And you've heard Girma and Joel talking about that very thing, not fulfilling GTN's vision, but helping someone in country fulfill their vision.
That's beautiful.
I think for
I was
me,
telling,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
please go ahead, Chuck. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Chuck.
it's a good reminder for me to recognize that good things happen slowly, because my tendency is to try to hypercharge things.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other, I think, is just to be reminded to be always looking to their vision instead of mine, because Jesus has a wonderful plan for your life, and so do I. Um, and so, I need to be reminded of that regularly. So that was worth the price of admission, to be reminded of that today.
Good.
I think the phrase is God loves you and I have a wonderful plan for your life.
Oh, that's good. My wife would say that's my husband. And if you don't like that one, I got two other plans for
Yeah.
you. So.
What really caught my ear, something Joel just said a while ago, in terms of trying to get evaluation. I mean, my wife always tells me, and she can hear me say this, so I'm going to regret it. She says, sometimes you talk too much. And what Joel, you just said is sometimes you have to create a certain level of uncomfortable silence to get them to really be honest and talk with you in terms of like, how is this going? And I kind of appreciated the fact that what some of you guys do about keeping the partnership about shared ministry, and where we're the fuel for their ministry. We're not, they're not the audience for our ministry. But this tendency, and it's because here you are, the first world versus the third world, majority world, whatever you want to call it, where they view us as a bank account. How to create boundaries with that. Particularly, like when I go to Nepal, I'll get asked. And I said, look, I go to 19 cities. There's 30 people in each city. So multiply that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So anyway, but a way to create those boundaries on the front end of things,
Good.
Anyway.
I'm reminded I was in Brazil several years ago. We had a great ministry, a great partner in Brazil. I was there with that ministry partner in Brazil, and then our U.S. guy who was over the work in Brazil. And they were meeting, and I was just a fly in the wall. I was just listening to their conversation. And I started chuckling during the conversation because I realized we have become the junior partner in this partnership. They are running with it. They are leading it. And we're kind of scrambling to keep up with them and find ways to fan the flame. And I just rejoice in that. And isn't that what we want to see happen with our global partners, is just to see them flourish and us play, maybe more of a encouragement, cheerleader, consulting role rather than the point person in the partnership. Well, great. Let me remind you, we're going to continue this conversation the day after the leadership gathering. Small, slow, deep, and wide, developing a relationship-driven training process. So we're going to be diving deeper and really encourage you to be a part of that, starting right after the end of the leadership gathering in February. I want to thank.
Question, does it start Sunday evening?
Yeah,
or
it starts
Monday?
Sunday afternoon.
Then goes to Monday. Okay.
And then goes Monday afternoon, right? Yeah, and so when you register for the leadership gathering, there's a side thing you can register for that as well. Thank you, Pastor Girma. Thank you, Pastor Joel. This has been a rich, rich time. I think we've all benefited from it, and we are so grateful to you.
Yeah. Come